everybody, this is Joe from Mainline Overland. I'm here with Scott from Go Fox Adventure, and today he's representing Power Tank. So we've been working on this exquisite long travel Tacoma build here for a few weeks, and we finally got to the stage where we need to charge up these King shocks with nitrogen. And seeing Scott's demo at our Mid-Atlantic Overland Festival, I remember him saying that Power Tank also makes a kit to work for shock inflation with nitrogen.
They sure do.
Yeah, so I gave Scott a call and asked him to come over to his shop and kind of show us through the Power Tank offerings and how we're going to go ahead and fill up these King shocks to the proper specs.
Yeah. Most people are familiar with Power Tank because they're top of the line CO2 inflation system. One of the things about this, it seems rather large at first glance, but this is actually a 10-pound PT-10 system. This is like having a 400-gallon air tank on your rig, pressurized to 150 psi. So when you have this, you get a lot of volume boost out of it being stored as a liquid. So this has 10 pounds of liquid CO2, and then it uses the vapors to inflate tires, to run air tools at full speed. You can have it run air lockers with another kit that has a manifold and some other things. So this is an incredibly versatile and high-performance inflation system. There's probably nothing faster on the planet if you're going to inflate tires in the field, but they never like to rest on their laurels. They like to figure out ways to make this system even more useful and have a lot of flexibility for different devices. This is their regulator right here, and this is the HP250i 250 psi regulator. This is their XP400, which actually tops out at 400 psi. Both of these are dual gas regulators, so you can use them either with CO2 for all the things I just described, or you can use them with the shock inflation kit and use them with nitrogen. The kit includes an adapter that allows the internally threaded neck of this bottle behind the valve to adapt to the externally threaded fitting that you would normally find on a CO2 container. This is the typical internal thread of a nitrogen bottle. This is with the adapter in place, and you can see that now this matches the external thread of a typical CO2 canister. So because of that, we're able to use the standard Power Tank regulator attached to a nitrogen bottle. So when we have this connected to this, you can use all of the same things that you have in your PT system with this device. So this is the Power Tank shock inflation kit. Like I said, this uses the same accessories that came with your original Power Tank kit, including your super coupler. So this allows you to connect to this regular quarter NPT fitting and then apply the nitrogen pressure to this manifold. So we're going to go and take this kit and pressurize all of the things that we need to for this King off-road bypass shock kit. So we start with the regulator with no pressure in it. We're going to take standard Power Tank hose, attach it to the bottle right at the regulator there. So the next thing we do is supply pressure. Close that off so we're not losing gas. So we do this, and then we're going to set it to our desired pressure for our shocks. In this case, it's 150. Now, we checked with King, and these particular shocks need to be inflated to 150 psi, and they do not have to have the vehicle weight on them when they are inflated. Check with your manufacturer to make sure that that is the exact same procedure they want you to follow for whatever shocks you're using. We're going to screw this zero loss chuck onto the shock. This is just a standard Schrader valve, same as you would find on like a tire valve stem. We take our shock inflator and attach it to the zero loss chuck. Next, we're going to pressurize this manifold. You can see it's right at 150. And the shock is very happy about that. So with the shock inflation tool pressurized to 150 psi, we then move on to the zero loss chuck, and we're going to tighten this thumb screw so that it pushes the Schrader valve in. The shock is now set to 150, and everything's good. We then reopen, close this on the tool, reopen the zero loss chuck, and then we move on to the next shock.
So now that we got the rear piggyback shocks filled up, we're gonna head up and get the fronts filled. So Scott, carry it away.
So all of these fittings and adapters that are included in the Power Tank shock inflation kit are designed for maximum clearance. So this can be used with shocks that are already installed on the vehicle. Occasionally, depending on your setup, you may have to disconnect a reservoir or two and let them hang just so you can get at the Schrader valve depending on where it is. But these are going to use the same 150 PSI that the others did, so we don't have to reset the tool. We have that at 150 PSI. And now that's filled to 150. Bump stops can also be inflated using the same tools. This bump stop can be inflated to a range of 150 to 200 PSI. For this client, without knowing their individual needs, we're going to set it in the middle at 175. We do the same process as we did on the shocks by attaching the zero loss chuck. But since we are increasing the pressure in the bump stop, once this is tight and we have everything connected and the manifold on the shock inflation tool open, we will increase the pressure to 175. It's best to do these last because you'll need to adjust it back down to do any shocks that you need at 150 PSI after this point. So with this connected, we're going to pressurize the manifold. We're going to increase the regulator pressure slowly to 175. Then we're going to use the zero loss chuck to inflate the bump stop.
Scott, big thanks coming out to our PA shop to help us kind of complete the final stage of this build and get these King shocks filled up with nitrogen with the pretty sweet power tank setup there.
Absolutely. I always love sharing this technology with people who could take advantage of it. There's a lot of different ways to integrate this into your build. So reach out to your local power tank dealer today.
And your newest power tank dealer is Mainline Overland. Scott recently got us signed up and we're super excited to offer the full power tank line of products on our online store. So head over to our website, mainlineoverland.com. You can also click the link in the description and check out all the offerings from Power Tank.